Ashton. This is my umbrella, Ashton. You need to grab my umbrella and stand right there. You got to back up a couple steps. You'll want to do that. Because Ashton, I also have today an umbrella. And one of these. What? Now, Ashton, you've got my umbrella, so you should be okay for right now. Please put the umbrella over your head for a second. Very good. I believe this. That when we're walking in obedience to God, we're saying, God, how can I serve you? And the first way you can be obedient to God is by knowing His Word. And if you obey what's in His Word, that's the place to start. Now, sometimes, God speaks to your heart. He speaks to your mind, and He leads you and guides you and says, you know what? I've got things I'd love for you to do. Watch out for that spot right there, Ashton, okay? And I want you to fulfill things that I've asked you to do. When you do, I'll back you up. I'll back you up with my power. Let you walk in my rest. That's a cool thing. If we're walking in obedience to God, here's what I know from the Word. That we're in God's kingdom, and we're walking in His kingdom, and we're in His protection. That's a cool thing. I asked to bring that down here because when we're being protected by God, that's pretty awesome. We know when the enemy tries to attack, God's got our back. That's really pretty cool. But here's the thing. If we go, I don't want to do those things, well then weird things happen. I think about Jonah, who was called by God. He said, I don't want to do that. What happened to Jonah? He got swallowed by a big fish. Now, God still loved him. And for us, if we don't obey, we have Jesus, we're still walking in His kingdom, yet we're not receiving the benefits the way we should. So guess what, Ashton? Without that covering, what's going to happen? You're right. You don't have the protection that you need. That's a terrible thing. Sorry. And so, without the covering of God to say, you're walking where I want you to, He still can protect. But sometimes He goes, I want to learn, I got to follow my will, so I'm going to, basically allow certain things, and that's not always fun. Sorry about that. But watch out. But guess what? If we say, God, I want to follow you, I want to obey you, I'm going to do what you've asked me to do, and we give big, here's what's amazing. God says, great, I've got you back. I'll cover you, and you can do what I've called you to do in my strength. Which you can that. Thank you. And you're protected, which is awesome. But here's what I know, Ashton. A lot of people, they run from God. When they run from God, they got to watch out because, it's like the enemy goes, cool, they're not doing what God called them to do, I can attack. And we don't want to see that happen. Thank you. All right. So, Ashton, thank you very much, and you can have a seat. Okay? I appreciate it. So I hope you will obey God and learn to give big with your life. Remember, we don't just give with money. Money, though, reflects what our heart is like sometimes. Because if you're going, no, I'm not going to give away with mine. It's mine, and I'm not giving it away. My precious. And guess what? No spitball things that are Smeagol, no spitball. Anyways, my precious. Guess what? You're not going to receive what God wants you to have. Because you're called to love. And if you're not loving like you're called, well, then you're walking in disobedience. And disobedience is rewarded. John 13:34 says, love one another as I have loved, so you must love one another. Did you get that? As I have loved, so you must love one another. Who's I? Jesus. Loving like Jesus. There's a concept. But in His strength and in His power, we can do it.